Alright, so this next section was actually quite a lot of them. It was about 3 hours long, and I got it edited down to 25 minutes here or so for this next part. And it's mostly going to be fast forward, so I'm just going to record audio over it. So in this part, I'm just adding some more stuff just in the front, in the foreground, on the ground, just to give it some depth and to have a little bit more extra stuff to have the light reflect off and add some more shadows below her feet. And here I just went through the materials that are or the objects that are added to this set and added them in. And they're back here under the bridge. So what I'm going to do is move them forward in front of her. There's just a couple of rock piles. I'm going to zoom in there. There she is. You can go to camera, and then I can grab onto the handle, or since I couldn't, the parameter tabs, and move it into position and make sure it's on the ground and not floating above it. Okay, we'll get the other one, and this one will go directly in front. And this is really some of the last of the tweaking of objects. After this, it's going to go mostly to lighting. And we'll get the buildings all lit. I'll get signage put in. And here I decided it really should go in front of the road, or in front of her across the road. And just checking out other debris maybe to add, but I didn't. I take it back. I guess I did. I put that other pile off to the side. Okay, so this is the set that comes in front of her. And I'm just trying to grab the Z coordinates just so I can move it all the way back instead of using the parameters and spinning that dial forever. So here we go. Now I got it in front. Make sure it's on the ground. And there we go. Some of it is cut off, and then some of it is in view of the camera. And this last thing I'm going to add is the 55-gallon drum to go underneath the overpass, so I can get some light coming out of it to get a little glow going under the overpass. And end up using a drum out of the carnival set. We'll zoom in on it. It has an open top, so a light can go in it and come out, and light will come out of it. And place it outside the little shack. Nope, I moved the camera, darn it, so I had to reset it. Okay, so the drum is back there and is visible and not hidden by her. There it is. Alright, so now I'm going to add my volumetric cube here, which will actually give a haze throughout the city. And in this part here is basically just add a cube, and these are the settings pretty much I used to create it. Fraction index. These are the most important ones here. The scattering measure distance, the SSS amount, and the SSS direction. And changing that 0.030 will actually increase and decrease the volumetric density. See, medium, now thick, is 0.1. Now it needs to be scaled up. The camera has to be outside the box, but any spotlights that are within the cube, you'll see their light rays. But if the camera is within the volumetric square, the effect won't work. And here I'm just working on the lights on the windows of the buildings. And basically the model had a canvas, like curtains layer, and what I did was I added emissives to that so I could get some windows that looked like they were lit up. Oh, it's a little too thick there, and it's a little further back. You can see how thick it is. So I'm going to go into the cube here, and I'm going to reduce the volumetric. So we're going to change that number down to 1.010. Yeah, see how it's now more hazier instead of that thick fog looking. And it's looking good. Just now need to flesh out the lights. So here I'm going to add a spotlight that's going to go inside the drum. And I'm going to take the view of the spotlight, and then I can see where the spotlight aims. Oh, I'm sorry, this is the crane. The crane spotlight. Same thing. So then I just aimed it at the crane and tried it down below, aiming up at it to kind of give it a little bit of light. And it's lit up pretty good, but Waiting for it to render. I should have sped this up. And once it does render, I don't know why I didn't speed this up, but you'll see the problem with the spotlight aiming up at the crane because of the volumetrics. You're seeing a lot of the light rays and not much of the crane. There we go. You can see some of the where the light is. You can see all the white dots there. It's taking a minute to render here. So changing the width. He's changing the width and height would allow it a soft light, a softer shadows, and then increasing the lumens will increase the brightness. And still not enough. So I'm adding our 0 here and just crank it up. I'm going to do it again, a couple more. It's getting to be a pretty large number here. Yeah, see now you can really see it lit up, but because of it being the spotlight inside the volumetric cube, it's actually, you're seeing the rays more than it lighting up the camera or lighting up the crane. So I'm going to go out of here, and what I'm actually going to do is actually move it so it's almost like it was a spotlight on the cab of the crew compartment aiming down the boom towards the hook. Now I'm doing another spotlight. That's the drum light. There we go. I'm going to move it inside the drum, aim it upwards, give it a yellowish color. And you can see the boom arm of the crane looks good, but I'm not getting the volumetrics from that spotlight. And the reason was I had the edge of the cube ending about where that overpass is. So it's didn't give the volumetric effect that I wanted. So actually what I did was I changed it to make it a background light and actually moved it back behind the buildings. Change it to a blue color for depth reasons. Light up some of those further away buildings. See how they're lit up now back there? Now here I'm going to add a sphere, which will be put inside the drum to give me the firelight I want underneath the bridge. And objects with emissives don't show a light ray in volumetrics like spotlights do. That's why you're not getting, or you're not seeing any of the volumetric light rays coming off all those lights on the buildings. And you can see a little bit glowing back there. And you see a little white dot next to the barrier, or the barricade, with the orange lights. But I gotta increase it a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this light and duplicate it and move it forward between some buildings and give it a yellowish color. I mean, I start off red here, but it was too dark of a color, and it didn't really light up the sides of the buildings up front. You can see a little bit of the red, but a brighter color. Here we go. So now I'm going to raise these buildings up because I want to put lights on them, signage, and I want the bottoms of them to be risen up so you can see what would be storefronts under the overhangs. And in the case of the building going up now, it has those billboards and sign off the front. So this is going to be a light that I want to add in that window, or that door well. I want to make it blue. Oh, I'm sorry, this one's green. And then now I'm going to duplicate it and make them blue. So now I bought the neon light kit from Renderosity, and he's got some decent signs already made up. So got the sexy girl sign, the girl. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move them up and put them in front of the signs that were already attached to the model. And I go through and convert them to I-ray material. And there's a backing and the actual letters. So I got them all highlighted, and I'm highlighting the neon portions of the sign. Now I got to go through and change all the colors back, because once I converted them to I-ray, they were white. So now I've just got to give them color. I'm going to render a little bit here. Yep, they're lit pretty good. Crank it down some, because it lost the color. And just get it down to where the color's visible. There we go. So I'm going to take that green cylinder and duplicate the node here. And the reason why I didn't do an instance is because I wanted a different color. See, I made it blue. And I got it below the ground just so you don't see the tubes. So now we're adding more beer signs. beer bottle. And then that's just a neon around that sign. I got our rock and roll bar signage. So now I gotta go through and pick all the letters and go through and make them iray and then convert the colors of each one. There we go. So it's looking better. Street's starting to look more alive. Change the intensity here. So now I'm going to add these circles around these round barrel shapes that were a part of the building. So, and I'm going to put letters inside of most of them. I'm going to have one faded out and one of them off. There's the one that's turned off. That one's dimmed a little bit. Now I'm going through and adding letters. Some martini glasses, just to fill a couple of the spots. Even though I had it opposite, it says beer, and I got martini glasses, and should have put those on the sign where I put the beer bottle. Got the letters in place. Got to convert them. There we go. Now on this side, I just duplicated the blue, like the building on the right. I put the blue lights on the building on the left now to give it a glow under the overhang. There we go. Now I'm going to add some more neons over here. And a whole bunch. Basically, the big sign is going to say hotel. So I'm going to get that hotel backing board and letters over to that front sign there. The problem is when I stretched it out, that white border around it was stretched. So get the letters in place, brought out on its little pegs. So it looks like it is off the billboard, and you know, it really does look better with the painting that under the image, the texture that was underneath it. So here I'm going to put no vacancy. And I'm going to do the same thing across these two little signs here. Bring them down. Get them placed against the sign. Change them to iray and give them color. Now the other billboard, I wanted to have like a video screen advertisement of one of the rooms. So I got my Dystopia set. I opened up another instance of DAZ, created and rendered the scene. In Photoshop, I'm going to use an action that will give it a real glitchy look here, and then I added some spots just to look like some LEDs are burned out. And I'm going to get it placed in front of the sign there. There we go. Now I'm going to add a guy, little low-res Lorenzo here in front of the fire. And there's the scene as it renders out. And now I'm going to hide everything and start working on her 3-point light. Okay, so then we're going to look at the lights. So I added the 3 spotlights, one to her left. This one here is coming in from our left, kind of at this angle here. And then the third one is her top right, looking down. And then there's the main light right there. Alright, so you can see. Alright, so we can see what it looks like with, let's try this first light here. I set all the lumens for about 40,000. And just for testing the light and for speed, I have everything in folders turned off, so we don't view any of it. And then once I get the lighting on her right, then we'll turn the stuff on and see how the lights look with the road. Alright, there we go. Alright, so it looks pretty good. Bright angle's kind of tiny. Made the light large, so it's kind of soft. And I'd like to make it a little lighter. Alright, there we go. Alright, let's turn on this light here coming in from the other side front. This one's a lot less. It's at 20,000 because I want to leave the shadows, so I don't want to overpower it but still get a little light on it. This I left this as a point light. Still got kind of a sharp, it's a small size light, so the shadow's a little sharp. It's a dark color. Yep, I brought it up a little bit more. You can now see this side of the face and a little reflection in her eye. The lights of the suit are visible nice. Alright, so let's add this top spot, which is a blue light coming down. And this one's at 30,000. And again, it's a sharp shadow, which I think I'm gonna once we see what it looks like, I'm gonna increase it and make it a softer shadow. And you can see the blue coming down. Alright, looks good. Just little highlights. I don't even think I need to soften it. Alright, yeah, reflects well. The robes look good. Again, I'll just have to Photoshop out that part on top of her head that's poking through the hood. Got her walk going. Alright, let's recording number 8, I think. I just lost power and had to restart. Luckily I saved fairly quickly. Okay, let's render this out and see how the blue looks on the road. Okay, yeah, it's seeing a little bit of the blue on the road here. Alright, so rectangle, let's increase the softness. Alright, looks pretty good. I think I'm gonna call this a wrap for right now. And I'm going to get everything turned on and then create the final render. And we'll see how it looks once I get into Photoshop.